There are a lot of educational content creators for League these days, each giving tips and advice on how to improve, but does it actually help you climb? I'm going to put that to the test. As someone who's played League for a while but never actually played ranked or took the game seriously, I'm going to grind ranked using the free advice of coaches and streamers and see what rank I become by the end of the season. Will I stay low elo like the filthy casual I am, or will I improve as a player and reach higher ranks like they promise? If you guys watched my last video, you'll know that I tried implementing the concept of the first 4 waves taught by Alois by going for a cheater recall. The idea was there, but my execution was terrible and it costed me from being able to achieve the 3-wave crash I was going for. Because of that, I really wanted to focus on practicing this concept. According to Alois, the first 4 waves are the most important part of the laning phase, as it allows you to win your lane and sets you up for success in the mid and late game if played correctly. Alois has an excellent video explaining this concept, link in the description if you want to check it out, but to summarize, there are 3 options you have in how to push the lane. There's a 2-wave crash, 3-wave crash, and 4-wave crash. Achieving the 3 and 4-wave crashes allow you to safely recall and purchase items while your opponent is stuck under tower farming, putting you at an advantage. The 2-wave crash allows the wave to bounce back to your side on the 3rd and 4th coming waves, making the enemy gankable since they're far away from their tower, but you ungankable since you're very close to your own. Which one of these options you go for depends on who the junglers are and where they're pathing. I played a few games trying to follow this guide and go for each of the options. In this video, I'm going to go over those games, sharing my strategy of which option I was going for, how I played it out, and the results. So the first game I'm going to be showing you guys is one where I played Gangplank versus Neferi in the top lane. My jungler is Master Yi and their jungler is Hecarim. And before I have a plan of what kind of strategy I want to do for my first 4 waves, you gotta see where the junglers are pathing. And so obviously I see my Master Yi, this is our vision by the way, red team vision. I see that Master Yi is going to be pathing from bot side to top. And I put this early ward here like Alois always does in order to know where their jungler is starting out and actually do spot Hecarim on this ward. And so what that means is Hecarim will be pathing from top side into his bot side camps. With that information, I decide to go for a 4-wave crash. Now the difference between a 4-wave crash and a 3-wave crash, Alois mentions it or explains it in his own laning guide video, but basically what he says is that the 4-wave crash is the most rewarding, but it's the hardest to pull off. The reason why it's the most rewarding is because obviously you get 4 waves instead of 3, and so that means that you get to spend more gold on your first back than you would if you were to just do a 3-wave crash. The reason why it's the most dangerous, however, is because you're spending more time standing in the lane, pushed up in the lane that is, and so when you spend that extra time in the lane, it leaves you more susceptible to a gank. It gives the jungler more time to reach your lane and gank you. But seeing how Hecarim is pathing from top side to bot, it makes me a little comfortable with going for the 4-wave because I know that he is going to be going into his bot side. By the time the 3rd and 4th wave are here, or especially the 3rd wave, he's going to be clearing his bot side, and so there's no way Hecarim will be able to gank me. So that's pretty much what my plan is this game. So early on, I put a barrel here in the bush. Solar Baka always puts one at around 130 to 132, and so I'm doing the same thing to prep it. Over here, I notice Neferi is walking into me. I kind of misplay here, but I'll kind of just let it play it out. Yeah, so I misplayed in that I just went for my auto passive instead of prioritizing my barrel. It would have been a lot better if I hit my barrel first and then followed up with my passive instead of just getting the passive proc. But it's not too big of a deal. It's not like our plan is ruined or anything, so I'm still going to be going for that 4-wave crash. And I'll speed this up. I'm not pushing too fast here on these first 2 waves, right? Because again, in a 4-wave crash, I don't want to be like pushing too much and making it crash on the 3rd wave by accident. But here the 3rd wave has arrived, and so we're clearing here. And notice how I'm pushing a little bit faster than I did before. This is so that I can prep for the 4th wave and then clear that as quickly as possible. So I have pretty much my whole 3rd wave here, and my 4th wave is coming in. There's no way Neferi can contest me on this push anymore because I have way more minions than he does. And so I'm autoing a lot at this point in the 4th wave to try to get it to crash as fast as possible. And there we go. It crashes, I'm able to base, and on my first base, Because of that, I'm actually able to get a Sheen on my first back, which is huge for Gangplank. And so I walk all the way back, and Master Yi is now top side. Remember, he went from his bot side to his top, and by the time he finished his top side camps and cleared the Scuttle Crab, he's now actually available for a gank. And because I crashed this turret, or I crashed the 4th wave under this turret, this wave is now bouncing back towards me. And so I let it bounce because I know that Master Yi is here and he's able to gank. So I'm just last hitting here, I'm not pushing the wave, so that Master Yi can gank successfully. And land a barrel, we catch Neferi, and we're actually able to get a kill early on. Alright, so in this game I was playing Riven this time, and I am landing against a Quinn top. So we'll be doing the same thing as we did before, where we'll be looking at where the junglers are pathing and try to formulate a plan as to how we want to play our first 4 waves accordingly. In this game, I have a Jarvan who is starting his on his blue, so we know that he's going to be pathing towards top side. And I actually see Nocturne early because of a level 1 skirmish, and so for that reason, I know that he is going to also be pathing towards top side. That's the reason why I don't put a ward here level 1, because I already know where he's pathing, I don't really need to put a ward there anymore. Now, regardless of where these junglers are pathing, because I'm playing against a Quinn who is a ranged top laner, it's hard for me to try to contest the waves early and go for a 2, 3, or 4 wave crash like we would normally like to, because otherwise I would just get poked down a lot and lose a lot of HP, and it would not be great. So due to the nature of this matchup, I could be wrong. I don't really have a say as to what I want to do with the wave. I kind of have to let it push into me. Now, with that being said, I will let the wave push into me, but I don't want it to crash under my turret. Instead, I want to keep it frozen on here, on this part of the lane, and this is what Alois calls the happy spot, in which the wave is frozen close to your tower. The reason why this is so important is, first, I don't want Quinn to just be able to crash onto my tower for free and get, like, you know, a free recall and whatever, right? She'll get an advantage over me. The second thing is, it's especially important in this game in particular, because we know that both junglers are pathing top. So if I let the wave stay frozen on this side of the lane for me, by the time both junglers clear and make their way towards top, I'm going to be very safe close to my tower. Quinn is going to be susceptible to a gank because she's super far away from hers. And so that's pretty much what we're going for, is we have it frozen on our side to make it free for a jungle gank. So I walk into the lane and we can see Quinn is already autoing the wave so she can get the early push. What I want to do is, to prevent this from crashing, I need to make sure I thin the wave so that it doesn't become so large that I can't stop it from being crashed. So I don't want to auto attack it so much so that, you know, it ends up pushing to her side, but I just want to thin it enough so that she's not able to get the crash off. Now, as you guys can probably tell, I am not playing this as well as I should. I'm not autoing enough. There are a lot of opportunities where I could just go for an auto, hit some minions, thin the wave, and I'm just not doing that. I guess because I was scared of getting autoed or whatever, but honestly, it was super free. I should not have let this happen. Because of that, the wave is now super big, and I can't really stop the crash anymore. Or at least I just let it go into my tower. I just let it crash for free. What I should have done is definitely thin the wave more to prevent that. But another thing I could have done was maybe pull the wave towards this side of the lane to give this lane, this next wave, some time to pass my turret and maybe hold the freeze here. Now, yeah, I would take a lot of damage from Quinn if I did that. But again, I started with Doran's shield, so it's not too bad. And on top of that, if I just thinned the wave more like I should have in the first place, I'm not going to take so much damage. But regardless, you know, it crashed. This is what happened. And this is especially bad in this game too, because again, both junglers are pathing top. So because this wave crashed, on the 3rd and 4th wave, it's actually going to bounce back towards Quinn around this side of the lane, and it's going to do the exact opposite of what we wanted. It's actually going to make Quinn safe from ganks, but me susceptible to ganks. Now, it doesn't actually end up happening that way because Quinn messes up here, and she's actually autoing this wave, this 3rd wave. And because she's autoing it, it actually prevents it from bouncing back. So I'm like, okay, she's messing up, but I'll go ahead and take advantage of it. I'm going to, you know, farm as much as I can. Okay, I took a trade here. Farm as much as I can without taking too much damage. And same idea. I want to keep it on this side of the lane. So where it is right now is really good. She's non-stop autoing. So I want to make sure that it doesn't crash again. I'm just thinning the wave so it doesn't crash again. I'm actually autoing more than I should here. to be honest, but she's autoing a lot too, so I guess it ends up working out. So here, I noticed that Jarvan just finished his red, and I ping for assistance, because it's a perfect gank setup, right? It's on my side of the lane, she's really far from her tower, and so Jarvan is walking up here, and she pops Ghost, she doesn't have flashes, she has Ignite Ghost, get a good knockup, and I should get the kill here. Now with that, we get an early kill. Nocturne comes in to gank, I don't know why, trying to salvage a play that's already doomed. Goes for a counter gank that's very late, and obviously loses the 2v1. And so we get 2 kills out of this. Now, the result of this whole play was good, right? We got 2 kills, but honestly, the execution was horrible, right? I did not hold the wave like I should have. I let it crash into me. The only reason it worked was because Quinn kept autoing instead of allowing it to bounce back. And on top of that, Nocturne ganked in a 2v1 scenario, which, I'm not sure why. So all these things happened because the enemy made mistakes. To be honest, it wasn't really me playing well. But at the very least, we had a strategy, right? We had a plan going into this lane, and we had the right idea. It's just the execution was off. And so I think over time, as we play more games and we practice, these first 4 wave concepts more, we'll become more competent in implementing these strategies into our games and executing them well. Alright, this is going to be the last gameplay video that I'm showing in terms of the first 4 wave strategy here in this video. I apologize for the scuffness of this replay. I have an immediate player. Reason is because I can't watch the actual replay anymore since it's been a new patch. So I have to watch it through here. Luckily I have a recording so I can at least watch this portion of the gameplay. But yeah, that's why you have this immediate player showing up. Regardless, I am playing Gangplank versus Urgot this game. And I have Shaco on my side of the jungle, and they have Rengar. Now in this game, I'm looking to do a 3-wave crash. Reason being is because when you do a 3-wave crash on GP with Futures Market, you can get an early sheen. And getting that sheen on your first back is just so valuable because it makes you so strong even early. So that's what I'm looking to do. I'm going to let it play out. We see Urgot early in this level 1, and I mess up mechanically pretty hard. So here we see Urgot. Put a barrel extremely late, get hit with his E, and yeah, needless to say, I lost that level 1 really hard. Obviously it's my fault because I played it horribly, placed my barrel super late. I could have potentially, if I placed that barrel earlier, go for a passive and then the barrel and then go for another passive, so that would have been a lot of damage in that level 1, but instead I just get chunked for like 60% of my HP. At this point, I'm so chunked that I can't even go for the 3-wave crash, and I just have to let it push into me. Now you might be wondering, okay, you played this so bad, you can't push anymore, why are you showing this? The reason I'm showing this is because this is like an important concept of this strategy. I feel that when you're trying to go for a push, you really have to be solid in your early trades / like kind of all-ins, levels 1, 2, and 3. Otherwise, if you get chunked out, you take too much damage, the push is over. You cannot continue pushing or going for that strategy anymore, or else you can die, right? And I explain this better and more in depth in my final thoughts towards the end of this video. Overall, Alois' laning guide is very useful. It gives you an idea as to how you want to approach your lane and play out the early game. Implementing this strategy correctly can help you win your lane very easily and set you up for success in the later parts of the game. The issue of implementing it myself, however, is that you have to have decent micro in order to pull it off. The reason I say this is because if you make a bad trade or misplay mechanically, then the whole strategy can no longer be applied since you can't get the early push. Understanding matchups and how to trade against certain characters is an important part of implementing this strategy, which is why Alois is so consistent and good at it since he knows them very well. I, on the other hand, am not knowledgeable in this, and so sometimes it ends up backfiring for me. To become consistent and get the early push on the wave, I need to improve my micro and not panic in these early level 1 trades. Something else I noticed while practicing the laning guide is that it's mainly focused on the first 4 waves, which is like the first 5 minutes. Afterwards, I didn't have anything in mind to practice or implement for the rest of the game. Because of this, I thought it would be a good idea to also practice Alois' mid and late game guide. That way I could practice 2 concepts in one game, one after the other. I wanted to look into improving my mid and late game anyway, since after playing these games, even when the lane went well for me, I misplayed a lot during the later portions of the game, causing me to die a lot and miss out on a lot of farm. So even though the laning guide is very important and can set you up for success, if I don't know how to utilize that lead, then it ends up going to waste. In the next video, I'm going to try to implement Alois' concepts from the mid and late game guide, while still also practicing the laning phase in the early game. Thank you guys for watching this. I hope you were able to maybe learn a thing or two because I know I did, and I'll see you in the next one.